All right, students, hello and welcome to class. Okay, this is a P3 lesson and I am titling it The Operating Difference. That's right. Here's a picture of some computers. You will notice on one side is the PC computer, the black one right there. And then on the other side, yes, those are the Apple computers. At the bottom, you can see there is a big desktop computer, and on the side, there is the Mac Air. Okay, now, operating software also means the OS. So let's take a look at some little details about this thing. On this side, you'll see there's a picture of two computers, right? On one side is a PC computer, and the other side is the Mac computer. It's like versus, like this challenging that, okay? Now, the meaning of PC basically means personal computer. The meaning of PC basically means personal computer, okay? Now, if you look at Mac, it's also a personal computer, but except it's made by Apple computers. And the PC, it's more like personal computers made by the Microsoft side, okay? Now, they're both PCs, so don't get confused. They're both PCs, so that means we have the personal computer by Microsoft, and we also have the personal computer by the Mac people. But usually if you have a Macintosh computer or an Apple computer, you don't really say, I have a PC computer. You just say, I have a Mac computer. Or if you have a PC computer, means you have a Microsoft operating system computer, okay? So don't get confused. In other words, they're both the same. They're both the same. They're all computers, but there are small differences. PC computer is made by Microsoft, and the Mac is made by Apple computers. Am I correct? PC computer is made by the Microsoft side, and the Mac computers are made by Apple computer people, okay? So let's take a look at some of these people who are behind the stuff. PC Microsoft. Here's a picture. It's a really old one. That is Paul Allen sitting down over there. He's wearing the tie. And the guy next to him in the white long sleeve t-shirt is Bill Gates. This is what they look like today. As you can see, after so many years, they're still good friends, right? And we must thank them for making PC computers, because you know what? We all use computers. And this is what would be a PC computer made by Acer Computer. Now remember, they did not design the computer. They only designed the operating software on the computer, okay? So that means once you turn on the computer, how it works is what they did. So I don't want you to think that Bill Gates designed this, because they really did not design it. Then on the other side, we have the Mac Apple people. And here is Steve Jobs. He's standing and laughing at his best friend, Steve Wozniak, and together they both made Apple computers. And this is what they look like today. That's Steve Wozniak right there. And then that is Steve Jobs holding the laptop computer. And this is what they made, the Apple computers. Okay? So whenever you turn on a Microsoft computer, the operating system is known as Windows. Looks like this. I'm sure many of us have seen this. This is what it looks like. But then when you look at the Apple computers, so the Apple OS, which is known as the Mac OS, looks something like this. Now, if you look at both computing world, they're both great. There's nothing wrong with it. It just depends on what you like. Now, for me, at home, I have Mac computers because that's what I use at home, because that's what I have. And when I go to the office, I use PC computers because that's what I have in the office. It doesn't mean one is better than the other. Each one actually has its own way of your experience. You know, like if you want to, for example, if you're at home, you don't want to watch a movie at home. You want to go to the movie theater to watch a movie because the sound is much nicer, everything is better. The experience is different. So Apple people, when they made the computers, they were more like, we want to make this for artists. We want to make it for people who are doing beautiful things, like writing beautiful stories, music, video editing, game design. You know, that's what we're looking for. Whereas PC people were more like, we're making this for doctors, we're making this for the hospitals, we're making this for banks where you work with money. So we don't need things to be beautiful per se, we just need it to work really well, okay? So that's my way of differentiating between these two worlds. So I'm not saying that this is better than the other, I'm just saying that each one has its own job to do. So here's a picture, Bill Gates and Paul Allen, okay? And they are the PC guys. and on the other side is the Wozniak, Steve Woz, and Steve Jobs. Okay, so now you know what's the meaning of Microsoft PC, and you know what's the meaning of Apple Mac. So when you look at phones, that's right, we all use phones. Even before computers, we actually have a phone. So if I show you this phone, of course you know it. It's the Apple phones. You'll be like, yeah, I know, the Apple phones. But then when I show you this one, you'll be like, wait a minute, this is not made by Apple. These are known as the Android phones. Now, Android is not exactly Microsoft PC, because Microsoft PC or Microsoft Windows is the the system software for a PC computer. But the Android system is for mobile devices, or at least for phones. So I could safely put our phones into these two categories. The Androids are on one side, and the Apple iPhones are on one side. So now you know PC and you know Mac. And you also know that there are different operating systems. So when you turn on a computer, the system software kicks in. This is the one where it will check the mouse, the keyboard, and all that stuff to make sure all that stuff is working. Now, once it knows all that stuff is working, it will turn on the OS, the operating software. So if you have a PC computer, the Windows will turn on. If you have a Mac computer, then the Mac OS will turn on. So if you have a PC, that side will start working on one side. And if you have the Mac, then the Mac OS will start working on one side. And once it's done, it will begin loading the application software. For example, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, maybe any movie players, maybe even games. In case you're designing some games, the game designer software will turn on. Okay, so what did we learn today? Very quickly, we learned about the PC world, and we learned about the Mac world. There are two types. Then in the middle, for mobile computing, which is the phone, we have the Mac on one side, and then we have the Android for one side. Now, I told you, Android and PC are not exactly the same thing, but some people make that mistake because Microsoft is not Android. Microsoft is just Microsoft. But it'll be okay to say, yeah, okay, there's the Microsoft people, and then there is the Android people, which only makes for phones. Androids do not make it for computers, they only make it for phone. And then we have the Apple side. Okay, that's the end of this lesson. See you at the next lesson.